Hi, it's Jennifer from Shabby Fabrics. I have a fun project for you, this sweet strawberry tote. I just love this little project. And what inspired it was actually these new handles from Lucian Fabrics. They are so cute, so sturdy. They're made in Japan and they're just precious. So of course we had to do something with them. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel and our other social medias as well, please do that now, and that way you're never missing out on projects. And we're coming out with them all the time, of course. Links for the project are available on the home page, but in the description box below the video, you can click on links and they'll take you exactly where you need to go ahead and download that, or even buy the kit. We'll have kits available for these. Get your page of the project printed twice. Cut once on the full pattern, and that'll be for the main front and back of your bag. I'll turn it that way so you can see it. And then once again for the pocket portion. So you'll actually print that twice. So let's put that aside. We'll definitely be using those. Let me just show you how the bag is constructed. That'll help you as we progress through the project. It'll make sense to you if you know what the bag looks like inside too. Of course, there's a front pocket and a back pocket. Those two sides are identical. And then there's a side gusset running all the way from this side to the bottom and up to the other side as one piece. So in fact, let me show you that as well. I have that fabric. We used fusible fleece to line the main part of the bag, and then just a light fusible interfacing on the pockets. So let me just bring this out as well, because this is that gusset portion. That's this part here. It's got the outside portion, we have the fusible fleece, and then the lining we've used, it's kind of a white with a polka dot. Then on the inside, there's two linings to each side. There's a lining to each side, so two total. That's what these pieces are. Measurements on the download, so don't worry about writing down any kind of measurements. And then of course we have our background fabric with a piece of fusible fleece each, and then our pocket with the fusible interfacing. Let's go ahead and start with the actual pockets. First thing that you'd want to do with your pockets is you will of course have ironed that fusible interfacing to the back side of the front of the pocket. But then that lining fabric, which is, you want to put these right sides together, and you'll simply sew, and then you'll 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you're going to flip. And that's what I've done here. Okay, so you can see that here. Actually, I think this is the one that we haven't quilted yet. So that's what that looks like there. Now, as you can see, they're not attached. So for that reason, it was logical for us to go ahead and do just a little bit of quilting on that. And that's where I get out my smaller ruler and my friction pen, and I'll just simply draw diagonal lines, and I might draw that, say, maybe every 1.5 inches. And I just continue coming this direction, turn, come back this direction, and then just straight stitch. That's how I got my pockets quickly quilted. That's hard to say, quickly quilted. And then once they're quilted, which this one I believe we've quilted that one, that's when you bring your template out for your pocket. And you'll simply lay that template right on there, and you'll draw with your friction pen, draw, and then using your rotary cutter or scissors, you will cut your pocket out to be, it'll be in this shape here. And of course you'll do that twice. So we, of course, did that. All right, so you'd have 2 of these sandwiches. You've quilted that. You're going to cut your pocket out. We're going to do the exact same thing. We drew the lines, we quilted it, we got our template out, put that in position, drew around it, and cut around it. That's how we layered those. And then, as you would suspect, you'll simply put the pocket in place, and you'll sew from this corner all the way around here. And it looks like we sewed less than 1/4 inch, so when we sew the whole thing together, those stitches aren't showing. So when you do, this is more of a basting stitch. It's just about 1/8 inch, and you'll do that twice. So you have one side of the bag and the other side of the bag. Now with the gusset, same thing. You're going to have your top fabric, your fusible fleece. You'll have your lining fabric. You'll draw your lines, quilt as you desire. The only thing is you won't be cutting it down at that point. What it's cut to is what it will be going into the bag. So let's just bring out our pieces. So we used our templates, cut everything to shape. We sewed our pockets together. And now, in fact, let me even show you the next step. It'll be probably a little more logical to you. So, right, we have a front and a back and a gusset. We have to start putting this stuff together. So I want to show you what that's going to look like. Here's this, and we need to attach that, right? So right sides together, and that's where you're going to begin pinning. You'll simply pin, being careful around the corners, pin, 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 and all the way up the side. And then you'll just use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you're just going to attach that. I just want to show you that's all we did all the way around. Let me just flatten it out so you can see that's what we did all the way around. No surprises there. Then, of course, to get the next side on, right, we need it to look, we need that side on like that. You'll simply go right sides together, and you'll repeat that process, pinning very carefully all the way around, and again, sew. So let me take you to that next step as well. And that's what the bag looks like at this point. We have a lining. So you would take your same fabrics. You would take, like, let's grab those out because I want you to definitely see the step. You've got your 2 lining fabrics. Grab that template again. And you can even do them at the same time. There's no reason not to do them simultaneously. Pin the pattern in place. Trace around. You can simply cut around with that in place, or you could trace and simply cut. You get the idea. We need to make the same footprint as the bag, of course. So we'll have our two pieces, and then we also have the gusset, and you'll construct it the exact same way. So we've done that ahead of time. The one exception is that when you're sewing it together, make sure that you leave one of the bottom portions open. It's very important now that I turn this to be right side out. Leave the bag wrong side out. Typically, with construction, with bags with lining, it's right side to right side. That's the correct side. I don't know if you can see the little pink polka dots. And my bag, of course, the right side is on the inside. I will slip this into my bag, matching the corners as best I can. Opening that seam, pin really well. And you would simply take this to your sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch all the way around. I've done that for you ahead of time. So I just want to show that to you. So when you get to those corners where you have those bulky seams, lay them open as you're transitioning in that area. Now I'm able to bring the liner through like this, and I will actually turn the bag through the opening. That's always my favorite part. Every time I get to turn something through, it's really fun to see it all come out to the right side again. And that's what you've been working for throughout your entire project. Now you have a couple options to close the opening. You could simply, what I would do, it's a lining of the bag. It's at the bottom of the bag. I would just simply close that, take it to a sewing machine and stitch that. You could do that by hand, of course. That's your choice. But once that's done, you'll simply push the lining back into the bag, fitting it into the corners nicely, and then getting to put those fun handles on. That is, to me, that was one of the most exciting parts. The lines on our pattern page are giving you a guide, a general idea of where those handles kind of line up. And it's about 1.25 inches. So at this point, you could either lay your pattern piece up to that and simply mark with your friction pen, or you can use your small ruler and just measure in. The whole idea is that you're the same distance away from the sides left to right so that your bag is balanced. So I'll just mark that in. I think it's a little bit easier. 1.25 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. 1.25 inches. And mark. And that's going to be where I line up my handles. Now, before I actually do that, do you see how it wants to roll at the top? I would, and we did with our bag, take this to the sewing machine, and we sewed a good 1/8 inch, even a little bit chunkier than that, I think. And that just kind of keeps that edge from wanting to kind of roll up. It keeps it tame. I want to show you on our handbag here. We did the top stitching here. And that's just to keep that from, under control. Once that's done, now come the handles. To me, this is one of the most exciting parts of the bag. Metal brad, there's my line. I want to make sure that it's right about where I want it. I better grab my glasses. I have needle and thread. We came up, it's probably easier to actually see it on this one. We came up here, went down here, came up there, and went back down, and kept doing this all the way around. So I'll just start a couple stitches here so you can see. Of course, we knotted it very well. Come up here. I'm going to go down. And then I'm going to go to the next hole and then back, come back. Making sure this doesn't get cattywampus. I want to make sure, until you put a couple more stitches on it, it's going to pivot. But once you start getting, especially about halfway through, it's not going to pivot on you anymore. And you simply keep stitching all the way around. And naturally, when you come back up to the top, you'll simply tie off and create a knot and then go sew that handle and the other handle on the other side of the bag as well. So be sure to grab these kits. There's a limited edition and they are just precious, and your little girls are going to be so proud to carry this around town.